Hello, my name's Tom Wardle, and I'm a senior Dharma teacher with Empty Moon Zen. The Book of Serenity, Case 28, Huguo's Three Shames. A monk asked Huguo, "How about when a crane perches on a withered pine tree?" Huguo said, "It's a shame when seen from the ground." "What about when every drop of water is frozen?" "It's a shame after the sun has risen." And at the time of the Huishang affair, where were the Dharma guardian deities then? On both sides of the great gate, they should be ashamed. One of the most important things to understand about sitting with koan is that when a student in a koan asks a question, it's basically never about what it appears to be. Invariably, the student is asking about themselves. For example, the student in our famous Mu koan really isn't all that concerned with whether or not dogs have Buddha nature. What is your heart's greatest longing? What question do you need to ask? To become intimate with a koan, we must make its questions our own. Another way to say it is that we must become the student. And so I was quite struck when I suddenly realized over dinner one night that I am the student in this case, and his questions are my own. I'm in the process of becoming a teacher. Later this summer, Mo, Janine, and I will all receive Denkai transmission, and the weight of the responsibility terrifies me. I find myself questioning how I could possibly be good enough to teach this way that I hold so dear. Part of the preparation involves copying a long scroll that traces our lineage all the way back to Siddhartha Gautama himself. A bloodline runs through the ages from teacher to teacher, all the way down to the present day, to James. And at the end, I'm supposed to add my own name. I must confess that I've been consumed by doubt about being worthy of joining such hallowed company. But I've also found myself consumed by doubt about this way itself. What is it good for? Why should we commit ourselves to this work? If I'm going to teach it, I better know. And I damn well better be practicing it myself. The first two questions that this student asks are about affirmation. And in that way, they're not entirely authentic questions because the student is not open. They're posing, looking for confirmation from outside. But the family treasure doesn't come in through the front gate. Even if the teacher affirmed the student, it wouldn't do anything to allay their fears and insecurities. Sure, the student might be chuffed for a while, but inevitably their confidence would crumble again because they haven't resolved the matter for themselves. In fact, they haven't even asked their real question yet. One can live a lifetime in this place, whether high up in a tree alone or stuck in some cold, hard place. And that's a shame. Think of all the things we miss out on because of how we see ourselves or others, because we didn't want to come down to the ground and join the fray, because we refused to be warmed by the rays of the sun. I remember once when I was a teenager, I was really pissed about something, though I haven't a clue what. I was angry, the kind of anger you wear on your face so everyone knows you're angry, because you want them to know. And I wanted everyone to know then I was angry. I was deep in it and I was committed. But my folks had rented a movie. It was a hilarious Australian film about competitive dancers called Strictly Ballroom. The movie's an absolute laugh riot, and I actually really liked it. But you'd never have known it from my face. I had frozen myself completely solid in that anger, and I didn't laugh once, even though parts of me wanted to. I just wouldn't let go. I didn't want to betray the hurt my anger was covering up. I didn't want to admit that I was hurt. It was a real shame. One of the beautiful and challenging things about working with koan is that we often discover our own assumptions. Certainly, this case has revealed some of mine. In their second question, the student asks, what about when every drop of water is frozen solid? Perhaps you too know the cold, hard places. It makes me think of all the things I don't want to feel, as well as all the things I do. I don't want to feel the pain of insecurity and doubt. I don't want to feel the heartbreak of seeing children gunned down in schools and in the streets. I don't want to feel the pain of wars and racism and injustice, of greed and environmental degradation. I could go on, but what's on your list? Me? In the end, I just don't want to hurt. Maybe if I could find the right place within myself, I could always be confident and content and always know what to say. Never get anxious or scared. Maybe, just maybe I could find that place of samadhi and bliss and just stay there forever. Only feeling the good stuff, never the bad. Obviously, when I'm thinking like this, I'm stuck. And that's a shame. At the end of our most famous koan collection, The Gateless Gate, Wu Mun gives us some cautions as a final parting gift, lest we make the mistake of thinking we've climbed a tree by passing the final case. He rightly warns us that to cultivate samadhi is to practice in a haunted house, and to be alert and never unclear is to wear chains and an iron yoke. Returning to the case, the student asks, what about when every single drop of water is frozen? Teacher Huguo responds, after the sun is risen, it's a shame. The teacher does not give affirmation, but neither does he give negation. How do you see Huguo's response? Can you see the depths of compassion in it? Because I cannot read it any other way than as warm-hearted and kind. An invitation to soften, to let the world in, to become intimate. The student's final question requires a little historical context. They ask, at the time of the Huishang affair, where were the Dharma guardian deities? The Huishang affair refers to the great persecution of Buddhism that took place in the middle of the 9th century in China. Buddhism was flourishing, with many schools and monastics numbering in the hundreds of thousands. The Emperor Wuzong was a devout Taoist who believed Buddhism to be a corrupt foreign influence. Perhaps more to the point, he was dealing with invasion and a revolt. So, targeting the tax-exempt Buddhist centers seemed a good way to fund his campaigns. Over the course of 4 years, almost 5,000 Buddhist temples and over 40,000 shrines were destroyed, and over 250,000 monks and nuns were forced back to lay life. A rebound followed after the emperor's death in 846. But what's important for us is to know the horror that befell Buddhists throughout China at the capricious whims of one powerful man. When this student asks about the Huishang affair, they're asking an essential question of faith. Where were the Dharma guardians when it really mattered? If Buddhism is real and the Dharma is true, how could this have happened? It's not a remote question, nor is it philosophical. The arrow is sunk in stone, and the student is asking something straight from their own heart. Why do bad things happen to good people? Why is it that you can live a life of virtue dedicated to the welfare of others and still be struck down in an instant? And what does it mean about the Dharma that this is the case? How do I make sense of a world in which Buddhism is true and this horrible suppression took place? I ask myself today, how do I make sense of this world now? How can the Dharma be real while bombs fall all around the planet, while people go hungry, while children die? How is this a Dharma realm? The question is very much to the point. Does Zen mean anything at all? Does it mean anything if it can't fix me or make me impervious to pain? Can it be real if I'm still the same old me after all these years of practice? I've been deep in the throes of these questions, and I wish I had it all tied up with a bow for you. I'm afraid I don't. I'm reminded of a lyric from one of my favorite songs. I want to be enlightened like I want to know the end. It's still a struggle, and I often feel pretty unworthy of my role. But I realized something about all the names above mine on that scroll. They aren't sitting in judgment. They're my support network. Every single one of the ancestral teachers holds me as they hold you. Our struggles are their struggles, and their wisdom guides us today. The Dharma is alive, and it isn't confined to the holy places behind temple gates. The whole world positively crackles with it, even if I can't always see it. And although I may be the same old me after all these years, I'm still a part of that. And these practices have been profoundly helpful to me in my life. If teaching just means sharing that with others, sharing of myself, that I think maybe I can do. In the end, what else can we do? There's a wonderful saying from one of our Chinese ancestors, Qingyuan Weixin. 30 years ago, before I began the study of Zen, I said mountains are mountains, rivers are rivers. After I got an insight into the truth of Zen through the instruction of a good master, I said mountains are not mountains, rivers are not rivers. But after putting my heart to rest, I say mountains are really mountains, rivers are really rivers. And because this is Zen, and there's always more work to do, then he asks, so, do you think these three understandings are the same or different? Another trap, another invitation. I intend to accept. I hope you will too. Thank you.